collaborate actually on all of the film versions of my books. So on Anatomy of a Misfit, the film version, and Liberty the Spy Who Kind of Liked Me, which is my next series coming out. I like to have somebody else do, if I'm writing a screenplay, to have them write the screenplay and then the basics, and then I go and like to do the dialogue and the flourishes.
I've never collaborated with anyone. I've historically not done very well on group projects, so I don't know if that's something in my future. But I really admire a lot of authors, and I would love to collaborate with, like, I don't know, Jandy Nelson maybe. I think her style is amazing. I really enjoy her work, and that would be really cool. So I think one of the things that you agree to when you write contemporary fiction is to write it as honestly as possible. You know, like a lot of the things we write about are, you know, like loneliness and, you know, sadness, and like, you know, feelings that everybody knows, but, you know, like they're hard to face. And I think it's the author's responsibility, if you choose to write contemporary fiction, to, you know, take on that challenge, to face the things that, you know, are hard to face, that normally we turn away from or don't acknowledge. So sometimes it is really difficult to, you know, be unflinching, but I think, like, as an author of contemporary fiction, that is your responsibility.
I feel like, and I don't know if it's always been like this, or if it just seems like it's more this way now, but I feel like we live in such a consumerist culture that, you know, where basically the story is like, your life sucks, buy this stuff and it will be better, and there's so many different lies that are being told, whatever it is, about whether to buy something, whether to buy a new phone or whether to go to war, whatever it is, that when something is honest, it rings out like a bell. And that's sort of like what writers are for, is to sort of be sort of the sound against that.
The deal with heavy themes. I mean, like, to follow up with your question, I think it is just, like, you know, staying honest. It's also, sometimes it's difficult to, like, draw the line between, you know, what is, like, you writing from your own experiences and then, like, you telling stories that aren't necessarily yours to tell. Yeah, I mean, like, overall, I really enjoy it. I think there are definitely stories that need to be told, and it's hard to do it, I guess, sometimes, but yeah, it's really great.
Well, you know, when I was growing up, I moved around so much, and so I always sort of had an outside perspective. So that, I think, accounts for a little bit of the funny, and I think a lot of the snarkiness, honestly, comes from insecurity within the characters. I think that the characters usually, you know, it's a kind of a defense mechanism against all the horrible things in the world, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, there's a quote which is, life is a tragedy to those who feel and a comedy to those who think. So it's sort of a way of encountering the world without throwing myself off a cliff, or the characters doing the same thing.
Thank you. Our next question is from my co-birthday girl, Kai Abito.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. First, my question is for Amy. Liz Emerson wasn't a very likable character to start with, and it can be tough to write unlikable characters. So how did you manage to do that in Falling Into Place, and was she influenced by characters in books you read or in your life?
While I was writing Liz, it didn't, like, I knew she wasn't the best person, but it didn't occur to me that she would be taken as an unlikable character because I liked her so much. I mean, I think the thing is about like the term unlikable characters. It's definitely a term I struggle with because I think more often than not, it's applied to female characters almost exclusively, and I just don't think that's right. So while I was writing Liz, I wanted a person who made mistakes because that's high school. You make mistakes, you do things you're not proud of. But to me, like, I wasn't writing an unlikable character. I was writing a person who was in a stage of her life where she didn't know how to, you know, be a good person. You know, because and that's valid. You know, she was very young. She didn't have the chance to interact with the world yet. And she didn't know. Like she had so much opportunity. She has so much opportunity left to, you know, like discover who she is and find like a better way to interact with the world. So I mean, I guess I wasn't really trying to write, you know, an unlikable character so much as like a young character.
Well, I think that basically it's just about the narrator. You know, the main character sort of, when it comes to YA and middle grade, kind of tells you what to do. Now with literary fiction, my literary fiction Bury This is in third person, and the one that I'm writing right now, called They Were Like Wolves, is also in third person. And I think that in that case, it's really the language that that kind of it pulls me through a little bit more. Oh, also, I just want to say one thing. I think what Amy's point about that unlikable as something that people call women a lot is a really, really good point. I mean, in the States right now with Hillary Clinton, I mean, whatever you think about her, the way that she's been treated by the media and called unlikable and shrill and all of that really speaks to the difference between how a strong woman and a strong man are treated.
Yeah, if you guys ever have the chance, definitely read Not Here to Make Friends by Roxane Gay. It's a pretty short essay, and it talks about, you know, likable women versus unlikable women and why women have to be likable. Yeah, it's just a really great essay. All right, so I don't have writer's block so much as like bouts where I just don't want to write. And I tell myself it's like writer's block because like writer's block sounds romantic and like part of the process. But no, it's really just that like I don't want to sit, you know, in a room alone with a computer for hours. Yeah, so like writing This Is Where the World Ends, I like had many, many days like this. And it was just like a matter of like, you know, going to that room, opening the computer and being alone for a few hours. So it's just like, to me, it's just a matter of putting something on the page every day. Like, it doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be lengthy, just like something, write a little bit.
I feel the same way. I mean, it's more like, instead of writer's block, I feel like I have more of I'll get a case of procrastination, donut eating blindness. Like I just will want to do anything else but be alone with whether I'm writing on the page longhand or writing on the laptop, whatever it is. And usually, sometimes I just let that happen. I tell myself that procrastination is part of the process. And I sort of like walk around my house and we look weird and do weird stuff. And then once I'm sort of done with everything I could ever do, then I'll be like, okay, Andrea, sit down now and do your job. Stop wandering around the house.
God. So I haven't read Falling Into Place since like 2003. When I turned it in, like I literally just haven't opened it. Favorite scene. I really liked writing all of the Kenny scenes. So Kenny was just like my favorite character. She was the character I related to most. And all of the scenes with her, I really enjoyed. I thought they were really fun and funny to write.
Well, both of the books are sort of semi-autobiographical. They come from things that really happened. So I just sort of throw myself back into my teenage self at the time. I was a pretty precocious teenager, so it's not that hard. Or you could just say that I never really grew up.
I'd really love to have dinner with Roxane Gay. I just think she's such a brilliant woman, and I'd love to like have the chance to sit down to dinner and like pick her mind.
Wow, there are a lot of really good writers, but that are men like Shakespeare, but I think that it would be annoying to have dinner with them because I'd have to be explaining everything all the time, like my phone, etc. But also because they might not take me seriously because back then, women were considered second-class citizens in a way, so that would be too annoying, and I'd probably hate them by the end of the dinner. So I think I'm going to have to choose an inspiring woman that I worship. I think I'm going to say at this point I would like to have dinner with Joyce Carol Oates because I'm obsessed with her writing, and I would hope that somehow I could through osmosis gain some of her brilliance. Well, my message, first of all, is thank you so much for coming out, and thanks so much for your support, and that's about it. I really love it here. I love the people. Everybody here is so incredible, wonderful, really, really very cool.
Yeah, I also just want to say thank you guys so much. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for blogging. Blogging is such an important part, especially of the YA community, and we appreciate it so much. Yeah, I'm so incredibly grateful and excited to be here. I went scuba diving the other day, which I'm just going to talk about for the rest of eternity because it was so cool. It's so incredibly beautiful here, and your warmth and enthusiasm have just been so amazing. So thank you.